Flea. This is a new Blu-ray put out by Neon, and I'm here. I'm just I'm gonna review this Blu-ray and the movie itself. I guess we'll just start with the Blu-ray because I don't really have too much to say about it. This is not a very great Blu-ray, but here's the cover. Here's the back. It's got one bonus feature. It's like a Q&A event that they held at a film festival, and then they just included it in this Blu-ray, which is cool. And there's where you'd have your disc. You know, nothing cool on the inside. There's your disc. Wow, nothing too fancy. Yeah, and I would say this is a nice Blu-ray. It's like 15 bucks. Not that bad of a deal. If you see this one, it is a good movie, and if you want it, I think you should definitely grab it. But let's talk about this movie. This movie itself is weird because I was told this was a documentary, and it's like an animated film before watching it. That's all I knew about it. And I don't really consider this movie a documentary. And the reason why is because very clearly at the beginning of the movie, they tell you that events of the story were altered for the film. Like, so that's the kind of message that you would get at the beginning of a based on a true story movie. So this is a based on a true story movie, not a documentary. Like, they're not the same thing. Like, I kind of, like, after realizing that distinction, I'm kind of pissed that this got nominated for Best Documentary, because it's going to win it, even though it's really not a documentary, because a documentary is not fictional. Like, it's all fact-based. Like, that's what a documentary is. They altered versions of the story. Now, I think part of it was that now that might have been just to animate it, but either way, it's still like, it's still partially fictional, and I find that a little damn ridiculous that this got nominated for Best Documentary. But it is a beautifully animated movie, and this movie is about this this guy who's forced to leave Afghanistan, and he leaves with his mother and siblings, and they, you know, and he slowly, like, grows and realizes his sexuality, is gay, and things like that. And, yeah, it's this really interesting story. And I think, like, it being animated gives it a more personal feel, like, than most documentaries. But, again, I don't think this is a documentary. People are describing it as one, but I think that's just incorrect. Like, because it isn't a documentary. I don't think you know how documentaries work if you're calling this a documentary. But it has a very personal feel type story of like this character who is forced to leave his home and then, you know, slowly discover himself through in life. And that's just a really interesting, fascinating story that's beautifully animated and well told. Just my biggest issue is how this film is being described, not the film itself. It's a great movie. You guys should watch it. It is not in English, though. It is in the language that the character speaks, which is Denmark. So, yeah, I think this was a solid movie. You know, I would give it like 5 out of 5 stars, pretty much. I can't think of anything majorly wrong with it, right? It does have English subtitles, so, you know, if that's the thing that bothers you, there is no English dub of this movie. It's in Denmark, and yeah. And it's really less of a film more than a short film. It's like 89 minutes. So, like, Dumbo's actually shorter than this movie, but I just had this randomly sitting here, so I was like, oh, well, I guess, like, Dumbo's 64 minutes or some shit, but this one's an 89-minute movie. So, it is close to be about an hour and a half, but it's really, really, really short, so it's more of a short film and an interesting little story that you just kind of watch and you get engaged in, and that's about it. And I really enjoyed it for that. Again, just confused of why people are calling this a documentary. It's like, I think there's a level of it not being a documentary that is weird. Kind of blurs the lines of what a documentary is and what it isn't. And it's just very strange to be calling it one because, I mean, you know, we don't watch Hacksaw Ridge and go, that's a documentary. It's a based on a true story war movie. It's not real. It's not what actually happened. They're not telling you the story in a documentary format.